Hello everyone, this is Faruk from the Revpanda Group and welcome to Revpanda Live. As we approach the holiday season, I hope you are all doing well and looking forward to a well-deserved break to spend time with your family and loved ones. This is the final episode of 2024, and I would like to take a moment to thank you all for your support. This year, we aired 15 episodes, hundreds of attendees joined our live sessions, and we had thousands of views at each session, even on the same day. Over 20 guests joined us and shared their knowledge and experience. And with this opportunity, I would like to thank you, all of you, for bringing Repanda Line to live to where it is today. A special thanks to also all our past guests and the Repanda team for their tremendous support. Today, I have the pleasure of hosting Viktoria Soltesz, a payment and banking expert. Viktoria is the founder of PSP Angels and the author of Moving Money: How Banks Think. You may have seen Victoria speaking at some of the major international conferences, including the high risk industries like iGaming. Not to mention, Victoria is a former lecturer at the University of West London, and she was awarded Business Woman of the Year 2023 and Payment Consultant of the Year 2024. Victoria, welcome to the show. It is an honor to have you with us.
Well, thank you so much, and it's absolutely pleasure to be here. I was looking forward to this, and I'm honored to be here after you mentioned all of those milestones that you guys hit. It's absolutely fantastic work, and thank you very much to allow me to be a part of this.
Amazing. Thank you, Victoria. I tried to do a little bit of an introduction, but I think it would be the best if you can tell us more about yourself, your experience, and I would love to hear more about your book. And by the way, for one of the lucky viewers today, liking this session and leaving a comment or asking a question, will get a digital copy of the book. So let's talk about moving money, how banks work. And apart from this, at PSP Angels, you do amazing job, and I know about the Soltesz Institute as well. So please give us a little bit of preview of all those amazing, work that you do.
Sure. I think it's easier if I go back to where it all started. I was a tax accountant, a tax consultant around 20 years ago in Cyprus. And Cyprus just joined the EU at that time. And more and more international companies incorporated Cyprus entities for tax optimization purposes. And our job in the office was to help those clients with the taxation questions, the company corporations, and obviously make sure that the funds are moving in a necessary way. Now the problem started when people had more and more questions from the banks. So 20 years ago, opening a company and opening a bank account was easy. You just walked into a bank, your accountant opened the company. It was some blurry photocopy of your passport. Everything was very questionable, but there was no such a thing as compliance. So when I realized that more and more clients came to us asking about the banking and the payment problems, like how comes that the bank allows one transactions and restricts the other, or how comes that I cannot accept Visa card transactions in my education website, then I started to realize that, okay, it looks like that accountants need to know all of this, but how comes I'm a trained accountant? We were never taught about these things. We don't know what is a chargeback, what is the difference between SEPO and SWIFT bank accounts, or that back in the day, we started to use more and more our mobile and the mobile wallet and Apple Pay, and you can pay with your watch, and all these new technologies came up, and I was completely baffled that I couldn't really give the answer to my clients that why banks are giving us absolute headache. And at the beginning, I remember my ex boss came to my office, and he was really upset and has said that I can't believe the bank should be happy that I'm keeping my money in the bank account. And actually, we are doing a favor to the bank, not the other way around. I am not going to tell them how I am using my money. It's my money, my rules. Now we are laughing about that, but back in the day it was completely serious, and he was actually right that how comes that a bank, a third party provider, starts to ask him questions about his money. So of course things changed, and then I realized that this payments and banking is getting more and more complicated, and the accountants who are appointed to deal with those tasks are completely clueless. We just don't know certain things. And of course, Cyprus is a place for higher risk operations because of the tax benefits. So, of course, banks are already treating Cyprus companies a bit more high risk than normal. Plus, when we are talking about our industry, iGaming, gambling, of course, it's inherently high risk. So that means that we know today that there is going to be payments and banking hurdles along the way. We need to concentrate on that. But what I noticed that low or medium risk companies, or even just e-commerce companies, they still treat payments and banking as a side function of the finance, right? It's something that, okay, we are going to integrate this payment provider and that's it. It's like a provider. It's part of procurement. And what we fight for and what we strongly believe is that there has to be a shift in the paradigm change, and it has to be an attention on payments and banking from a different approach, because payments and banking today affect every part of your operation. It affects your customer service, the customer journey. How do you put things in the basket? How do you check out? It affects data security. It affects technology, the product development itself, the integration. So there are so many aspects that there are no personnel who is dealing with this, because there is no training around that. And what we also believe, that if you start seeing the whole operation from the viability perspective, that what the bank and payment providers will allow you to do, it is going to make so much more sense, and make your life so much easier, because instead of setting up your operation flows and find a payment provider or banks for that, it's easier to understand what the banks and payment providers want and then build your operation around that. So that was the reason that I started PSP Angels, because I realized that there are a lot of gaps in the knowledge in the market, meaning no one knows really what's going on, right? No one knows how everything. And I was advising, obviously, at the beginning more at high risk clients, but then I shifted over to low risk clients as well, as I said, the e-commerce companies. And even the most common, we think it's common sense, right? Because we're in this business, but even the most basic things, such as why you shouldn't keep 20 million on one bank account, why you shouldn't just have one payment provider, because what happens if they have a downtime, technological glitch, what your clients can pay you. So even the basic things were not obvious for them. And that's when I realized that there needs to be some consultancy which is focusing only on banking and payment, and give advice to operations from the compliance perspective. So today we are building scalable strategies. We investigate every areas of the cash flow, where the money comes from, how much, how often, what currency, do you even do hedging? If yes, who is doing the hedging for you? How many accounts you have? What are the different companies in the group? How are they related? How the cash flow is flowing through? Because every little mistake can be not only fatal, but very expensive for the company as well. So, for example, if you are accidentally accepting one client funds from a sanctioned country, that's it. That's the end of your operation. And you might not even know what is the risk that you are dealing with if you don't talk about it. So that's what we are dealing here with PSP Angels, to demystify all of those complex issues that companies need to deal with today. And of course, as I said, in a high risk industry, iGaming and gambling, you more understand what are those hurdles. But even there is a lot of confusion of what's happening, what is allowed, what is the latest technology, what are the new fintech innovations come up, and how you can integrate that to your setup. And because I realized that everybody has the same problem, I got the same questions, so I had to answer the same answers
Yeah.
over and over and over again. At one point, I said that, okay, let me write it in a book, because read the book and then come to me with all the questions, because 90% of your basic questions will be answered about how banks think and how money moves internationally. So that was the reason that I wrote the book. And based on the success of the book, which came out in January, so a year ago, people asked me that how can I learn more? Is there any place that I can go and actually learn about everything, not just about how payments work in a card scheme, because that's interesting, but it's very just one dimensional. Or what are the payment tokenizations, or what is the PCI DSS compliance? No, they want to know, who is dealing with payments and banking, the whole picture. What is the history of the banks? Why compliance ended up where it is today? What happened during that time? So give a full understanding, a good base knowledge about everything. And that's the reason that we also opened the Soltesz Institute, which is now an EU accredited institute, giving certified professional qualifications for anyone who is joining us. And we are, of course, offering online courses as well. And we have a lot of free content online too. So feel free to check it out.
Yeah, I noticed you love video content. You post a lot of them on PSP Angels website and also on your LinkedIn and also PSP Angels LinkedIn. So go ahead and follow these pages. And regarding the book, one more time, I would like to remind. So if you want to get a free copy of the book, a digital copy of the book, please like the session and also leave your comments, and we will be having one lucky person and deliver it to him or her. Amazing. I love what you say about the whole let's say aftermath of choosing the right payment and banking strategy. It even affects the conversions, which is very important for iGaming brands right now. That today we'll be covering them, of course, and also retention. So imagine you just want to deposit some amount and then it is not going through, and the frustration, everything will be definitely uh, letting people go away to maybe a different brand. So that's a crucial point. Talking about iGaming, if you like, Victoria, maybe you can give us a little bit of an overview of the current state of payments in the iGaming industry, because it is projected for the next year to be $100 billion industry. So the industry is growing, and payment experience for players, it has an important role in this growth. So I would like to hear from you about the current state of the payments, and also what challenges do you think iGaming operators are facing today?
To be honest with you, what's the current status? I think it's mayhem, because the blind is leading the blind in many cases, and I think that this is the main problem. That since there is no concentrated and dedicated education around the subject, any finance professional will become a payment expert just by Googling and finding answers and going to forums and going to these conferences and speaking to the payment experts, just by organically gathering that knowledge. Is it good? We don't know. That's the problem, because maybe you are getting expertise on the right side from one aspect, but maybe you get completely disinformation from the other side. So still now there is no holistic overview and commonly agreed standards in payments and banking. And it's not just an iGaming industry. Unfortunately, it's nowhere. So what we see is that there are different payment providers, banks popping up like mushrooms after a rain in the forest, right? You go to new conferences and I'm sure that you see at least 5 or 10 new payment providers you've never heard of. And of course, what you do, You go there, you visit the booth, you call them based on the website, you are recommended to them by your peers. So there's a new payment provider, let's check it out. And then you start to ask questions. But the problem is that you're asking questions from a salesperson, and the salesperson wants to sell. So then you've got over promises and under delivered services. That's usually the main problem, that you just don't know what you are paying for. And then you also have to not only integrate that new payment provider, make sure that the cascading of the traffic allocation goes there. Make sure that your customers are also happy with this new payment method, because you don't want to piss off your VIP clients by introducing a new payment method which is unknown, for example, right? You want to make sure that they can pay in a way that they like to pay. And also, it's the testing part, which I think you guys have a very, very nice solution for that. Because if you're an operator, you integrate a payment provider, or even before you are planning to integrate a payment provider, yes, of course, the sales is going to say that they are 100% uptime and everything is good, but you need to test it. You need to understand what is the customer journey from the customer's perspective. So you spend a lot of time and energy from your own pocket to figure out that how do you test that payment method in Japan or in South Africa or in, I don't know, Singapore, for example. So there are a lot of elements that you need to pay attention. And I also see that the industry is, of course, trying to help the operators and try to come up with new fraud tools and payment orchestration and better CRM systems, but it's still somewhat not summarized in a way. So you still need a person within your team who understands what's going on and can connect all those dots and understand the full picture from these puzzle pieces. And if we don't start with the education internally from the team, then you will fall short, unfortunately, for these smooth speaking salespeople. And I'm not saying that they are selling bad product, but of course, there's always going to be, yes, don't worry, the SEPA is only coming in 1 week. Yes, of course, we're going to have this functionality. Just sign the contract today, and it just never comes. And this is not uncommon, unfortunately, today in the payment space. So education, and of course, you need to know what do you need specifically to find the relevant specialized tools for your specific needs.
Absolutely. Also, thank you for mentioning about the payment method testing service that we offer at Revpanda. I can tell you, of course, we work with a lot of operators, iGaming brands, and we are testing their user flows globally. It is interesting to say, maybe, but our largest clients are the payment solution companies. So they come to us and they tell, look, we have got a new operator. We are about to offer the service, and before they handed over their services to them, they come to us and we just do all the tests, record them on a video, write the full detailed reporting for them, even check the localization of their money pages and send them over to them. So yes, definitely I would agree with you on the testing. And while you were answering my first question, you were actually building the way for the next question I wanted to ask you. We talk about the importance of the seamless payment experience, and definitely it can improve the user retention, it can reduce the churn for iGaming brands. I was wondering about your opinion on some of the innovative ways iGaming brands can optimize their payment flows to enhance the player experience.
Yes, and that's when you need an overall payment and banking strategy. And this is very delicate because there is no size fits all kind of solution. Whatever one operator needs could be completely different from what the other operator needs. It really depends on your target areas, your clientele, your own risk appetite as a company. Who do you accept as a VIP customer? Who do you need to reject? What type of licenses do you have? Also, what is the level of understanding of your payment team? Do you have very experienced teams so you know that, okay, let's go a bit more challenges because if there is a problem, we have the knowledge to handle that? Or it's your poor finance team who is trying to do the reconciliations on a daily basis, trying to figure things out, will not be able to handle those challenges in case that there is an increased number of fraud or chargeback or disputes or even downtime with the payments. And obviously, it's going to be up to them to fix it. So it has a lot of moving parts in the big picture. And that's why you really need to understand that how the payment is flowing through the company. And it's especially important for our industry in the iGaming and gambling and betting sphere, because you don't only have the pay-ins, but you also have to deal with payouts. Just to tell you an example, you know that Mika is coming. Crypto was the go-to payment method for a lot of operators for payouts. Why? Because there was no regulation around that you can hold third-party funds and then settle your players in crypto, or at least hold their funds in crypto. Now it comes to an end because now we've got the crypto regulation too. So all of those operators who until now held client funds, player funds with them in crypto and then settle the client, need to have either a license or at least talk to a professional that what's the next step. So even what you have today as working perfectly as a payment strategy and the banking plan, it can change in a minute tomorrow. Maybe there is a war in your industry, in a country that your best VIP clients come from. What kind of money can you accept? What you need to reject, how the payment provider is still going to provide those services. I have seen so many times when the payment provider was just killing it. They had all the biggest operators, life was good. One day to another, they lost their own correspondent channels. That was it. All the money was frozen. They got an investigation, and what are you going to do? From Monday to Tuesday, your money got stuck with a payment provider somewhere in a country you never even heard of. So these are all the risks that you need to calculate with. And as I said, there is no one size fits all, because it's up to you as the management to decide what is the risk that you're willing to take, what are the areas that you want to tackle, what are the high risk areas that needs extra attention. You need to maybe hire more people for that to handle. And of course, what are the low-hanging fruits, saying that, oh, okay, this is the best opportunity to earn the most amount of money in the least amount of risk. So it depends, but you will need someone who is advising you on payments and banking internally, externally, doesn't matter, but you need a professional because it gets more and more complicated as the technology evolves and regulation evolves. It just gets more and more difficult day by day.
Absolutely, and we need to start from the strategy. Definitely, it is important to find the right person who understands the industry that you're operating, the regulations, and all the other things that are affecting not only the payment systems or the methods or the other parts of it, but also the banks. Like banking part of it is really crucial.
That's right.
There are so many of those payment processors, those payment method companies around, and when you go to an iGaming event, like in the B2B areas, like almost half of these companies are actually coming from the payments. So
Yes.
my next question will be about finding the right payment processor, like identifying the partner for you. Are there any specific features that make a payment company more suitable for the iGaming industry?
If they are in the conference, the chances are they're going to accept your company. So that's definitely a good starting point. However, I would really warn everyone that go around in the conference and speak to people who are coming to you that, hey, I've got a bank account and it's working and it's C2B, don't worry, I can sort you out. Because usually the impression that these payment experts or payment specialists are giving me the best opportunity what I have on the market. It's not always the case. Oftentimes, these payment experts are resellers who are reselling a solution. So of course they are motivated to steer you into whoever pays them the most commission. Do they offer a bad solution? Not necessarily. But do they offer all the solution for you to pick from freely and transparently? Definitely not, because they work with a finite amount of number of companies that they work with, and they are just reselling those products. So of course they will tell you that don't go here, come to me because I've got the best solutions, and don't worry, I'll get you sorted out. So you need to have some kind of expertise to see through the loudness of this industry, to see through the sales talk and really understand what that product or service can offer you. And your job obviously doesn't stop here. You need to do a constant ongoing due diligence. Many times, for example, operators don't know that there is one corresponding channel, let's say one acquiring bank, who is giving these channels these opportunities to work with them to multiple payment partners. And they think that that's great. I diversified my traffic. I've got blue pay, red pay, green pay, and purple pay. Yes, but they are all connected to the same acquiring bank and the back end, what you don't know, because how would you know? It's not a public information. So even though that you think you diversify your traffic, it actually is the same, same acquiring bank at the end. So that needs expertise. There are a lot of information which is hidden in the experts' minds, or through these networking. That's the only way that you can figure it out. So it is a complicated subject. And the other thing is very, very important is that. When you are talking to a so-called payment orchestrator who is offering you solutions, or you're going to a payment broker who is offering you solutions, it's never free. Of course, they are not working for free. And therefore, the pricing might not be as transparent as you need to have it. Because, for example, in our industry, one good introduction, one good handshake, as the industry standard, takes half of the profit from the payment provider for the lifetime of the client. You don't know how much you're actually paying for that introduction, but it could be much more expensive than hiring someone in-house, a payment expert. Yes, maybe that person is going to cost you a lot, but if the operation size justifies it, it will definitely worth it. Or work with independent providers, solution providers, or independent consultants who are not going to send you somewhere just because the commission is better in one place than the other. But then it's not only about price. So many times, for example, I've got clients who tell me, I'm now paying 7%, I want to pay 6. Okay, I can find you someone for 6%, but they're going to settle once a month. Would you like it? Oh, no. Okay, but the bank is in, I don't know, in a country you've never heard of. Would you like it? Would you keep 500,000 there? So the price is not everything. There are so many aspects of it, which is the risk. Again, as we mentioned, the technology, the data security, one leakage, and that's the end of you. Is the trustworthiness of the solution? Is the variety of the payment methods? Yes, is the price as well, but the settlement times. So many aspects to consider. Don't just go in a conference, shake hands with someone just on a promise that they're going to drop your fees with 0.5%, because you just don't know what caveat does it comes with.
Exactly. And Victoria, please correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say in my specialty, which is digital marketing, we do a lot of experimenting. We can test things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and we find the right solution. But when we're talking about money, I don't really think that this is a viable way to go. What do you think?
That's right. Yeah. But again, it's the thing that you really need to understand what is your risk, because
Yeah.
yes, maybe the I don't know, bank in Latin America is giving you better fees and better settlement terms, but how are you going to get the money out of a country, for example, when there is a civil uproar or there is a hyperinflation? Maybe you have great money in the local currency, but in 2 days the value of the currency worth only the half. So there are also these aspects to consider. So yes, as in marketing, you have to test, and I think that's why you guys have this amazing service, that at least you know what you're signing up for, not just blindly trusting that yes, it's a cash method. Okay, I just give it to Tom and give it to Bob, and that works, and then hypothetically it works. But when you start sending volumes, the things is always somehow different. but also you need to understand that who is handling your funds, how are they regulated, because if I'm keeping my money in a bank in Switzerland, that sounds different than if I keep my money in a bank of China or in a bank of Uganda or a bank of Bolivia, for example. You feel somehow it's not the same risk, but how much risk will you take if it comes to your money? That's when you need the experts, really.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned about the banks, I actually wanted to come to that part in the next question. Uh, you often mention about banks. You wrote a book about it, so you know it very well. Often say that banks are kind of policing bodies. So they are kind of a department for taxation, and
Yes.
then they are also kind of helping governments so that citizens are not committing a crime. So probably, it is something that you will address later on in our conversation. But finding a reliable banking partner is very crucial, especially in high-risk industries like iGaming. As you know, there are regulations play a part, or sometimes they may actually offer like higher fees or some other expenses as an extra rather than just a simple e-commerce partner, right? So I was wondering about your suggestions for iGaming brands who are looking for a reliable banking partner. Can you please tell us more on that?
You have to always start with yourself. Banks, as you said, that they are in our lives to execute all of those functions which maintains a healthy society, to make sure that everybody is paying their taxes and no crime is committed. You can't put a policeman next to everyone, so if you're paying your subcontractor in cash, of course they can't see it, but they can see it when the subcontractor is putting it in a bank, or they want to buy a house, or they want to buy a car, because that's when the money gets into the financial system through the banks, and the banks are appointed to monitor what is allowed and what is not. So there is an enormous pressure on the banks because they are not a charity. They are doing it because they have to. It's not by because they want to. If I was a bank, I would want to work with everyone. What do I mind? But of course, they have to adhere to different rules and regulations, otherwise they are losing their license. So they have a lot to lose. Yet they still need to generate profit. So that is the reason that they put clients in a different, very subjective, I have to say, but different risk categories. And even though that we are talking about iGaming and gambling and betting industry as high risk and high risk could be very different. When it comes to license, when it comes to operation, are you a startup? What are the areas that you operate? Who are your clients? How do you filter out your clients? So it's not just as easy that I'm sitting on my operation, it works as it works, and hey, bring me the best banks. No, 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 no. You have to fix yourself to be desirable enough for the best banks, and that's how you start relationship with the best banks. It's not about who you can be introduced to. It's about how your own operations work. And trust me, I have seen all the good, the bad, and the ugly. I have seen websites without any kind of notification about privacy policy, or there are operators whereby the whole website looks terrible, or there is no relevant KYC or AML policy. And they expect to work with the best banks, and they expect this from their consultant or their payment team or even payment broker or whoever, to bring them the best and safest banks in the world. No, even if I have the connection to the best and safest banks in the world, they don't want to work with you. Let me fix you first, and then get you the relevant look an application, which then creates trust in those banks. Because if the bank is taking on a new client, they are always risking their license. There is always a risk that maybe I take you, but then I'm losing my operation because you are going to do something wrong and I have to take the responsibility for you. So I want to make sure that there is not even an opportunity for wrongdoing with you as a new client. So that's why we have to fix you first, to show that even though I am in a high risk industry, I know what I'm doing. I am making sure that even though that there is no regulation around certain things I'm doing, I am regulating myself. I have very strong procedures. I have very strong rules and enforceable penalties that I apply within the company. And then that's how you generate trust. And this is how you work with the best banks, not the other way around.
I see. So start from yourself and from your company, do things right, and then later on shop for the right banking partner for yourself. So this is what
Of
I
course.
understand from what you said.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Victoria, you built the Soltesz payment framework that can guide any business, not only iGaming, but any business to optimize their payment and banking flows. I'm aware that this is a quite big topic, and you have got the whole section in your book for that. Could you walk us through the framework? How does it address the unique needs of iGaming brands?
Right. In this framework, I wanted to at least bring the questions to surface. That what are the questions that you need to ask from yourself around your operation to identify that what are those areas which need a bit more attention. Because let's say you've got a group of companies. You've got, let's say, an EU payment agent. You've got a holding company. You might have an offshore company somewhere. You've got the operator company with the license. These are all connected. So you need to understand that how the money flows through this system, which company gets what money, how the companies are trading between each other, taxation wise, and of course, risk wise, what banking partners certain companies have, who are the key people, the shareholders, the directors, how the different currencies are affecting, what are the timelines. So, for example, I'm sending money from my Singaporean company to my Cyprus entity. How long do I have to wait until I get it? How does it affect the operation? So, everything is put in a very easy to understand 8 step framework, which even though you don't have to follow every single step, but at least you ask yourself a question that does it apply to me, and start thinking about how the money flows through your operation. Because one bottleneck and the whole operation is going to get affected. Or one bad mistake, for example, when you have an offshore company and you have nominee directors there, the nominee director might be a nominee director to another unrelated entity, and that entity does something, the whole entity gets flagged, including the director. Now you have a fraudulent director, which affects the whole group. So those are the things that you need to at least ask those questions. So when the problem hits, at least you take the calculated risks, and you really understand that what are the risks that you're taking on a group level. But yeah, you can go to the soltesinstitute.com. We've got a full 1 hour free webinar about it when I'm explaining all the steps. And of course, it's mentioned in the book as well at the final chapter that what are the areas that you need to pay attention.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I strongly recommend again getting the book and learning more on the book itself because it's very well structured. And also, even you explain over there the history of bankings and how their mindset is. So it's really cool. And there's one thing that you mentioned. You say accounting is the language of the business. You find it super important. Can you tell us a bit more on that?
Well, I know for a fact that the majority of the startups fail because of the cash flow problems, because people just don't really understand that how certain fees affect the operation. So just to give you an example. So let's say that you are selling something for like 100 euro, right? 100 euro is your selling price. Let's say you find a payment provider, common thing, let's say for 3%. Now, even then, a lot of startups don't even consider that oftentimes that there is a VAT or a GST on top of the product price that you are selling. So even though that you're selling one thing for 100 euro, you have to sell it for 120 because that 20 goes to the government and 100 comes to you, but you are have to, you are the one who's collecting the VAT. Now, this 3% immediately in this example, let's say 20% for VAT or GST, becomes 3.6%. I know that it doesn't affect our industry because iGaming and gambling is not subject to VAT, but this is also something to consider. However, if you put this in perspective of the profit, and our industry is working with a very thin profit margins, This 3 or 3.6% can increase to a significantly higher number if you're considering it compared to your profit. And I have seen, because, as I said, I started as a tax advisor, I have seen people are freaking out over 2% different in taxes, and they are revamping the whole company and start a new jurisdiction somewhere else and incorporate their company there just because the taxes are 2% cheaper. But no one is talking about payments and banking fees. How does it affect your operation? In terms of profit, in case that, let's say, you're working with a 10% profit margin, the 3% can easily become 30%. And this is substantial. And this is something that you need to consider. Trust me, I would say 99% of the startups don't even think about this as an issue, but this is an issue. And this is just a fee. If we add, for example, timelines, how quickly you're getting your money, that could be also a killer. In our industry, there is a very popular term, which is the rolling reserve. It's like a safety deposit, whereby the payment provider is keeping back some of your collected amount in case that there is a chargeback, there is a fraud. They have a buffer zone that they can repay the clients, the victims out of that money in case that you disappear. So it's like a security deposit. Yes, it's your money. So accounting wise, you own that money, but you don't have access to that money. So in case that you want to use that money to pay your suppliers or pay your employees, you can't because the money is not in your pocket. How does it affect your operation? This is cash flow. So that's why I said that accounting is the language of business, because if you don't understand at least the basic flows around operation and finances, you will not be able to run a business successfully. In the same way that if you don't understand what you are doing in marketing, you will just spend the budget and you will have no results. You need to understand at least the basics to even have a chance in this very cutthroat environment. And trust me, your competition most probably understands what's going on financially, so you should be aware of this too, at least.
Even fee calculations can wreck the business, and it can be actually, long, or it can just put you go. Thank you. Everybody should consider their accounting and their moment. Um, Yesterday, I was watching Jerome Powell. He, as you know, there was like a 25 basis point decrease in the interest rates in United States, and then later he came out and he said a lot of things. And my feed on Twitter was full of crypto and everything. They were all down. So this is leading to my next question, and I know that you're following all the micro and other economic developments very closely. uh, in iGaming industry, cryptocurrencies are becoming increasingly popular, and I know that players, they adopt it, they like it very much. And there are more and more crypto casinos that we see. They are also opening up. So let's maybe jump into that topic a little bit. What should iGaming operators know about integrating cryptocurrencies, and what are the risks and challenges they should consider?
Everybody knows the good thing, right? It's cheap, it's less regulated, it's quick. So it looks like it's the perfect alternative to our traditional card payments or open banking or the other fiat methods, right? So why not everybody is using it? Well, the problem with the cryptocurrency is that whereby there is less regulation, those are the bad actors, those creative people who try to take advantage of the system. And this is what we have seen, unfortunately, with crypto. So now the traditional banks and financial institutions are very about crypto payments. And if you are already operating in a high risk industry, such as iGaming, gambling, betting, you're already high risk. If you're adding an extra layer of complexity to your risk profile, you become ultra high risk, because now You are an iGaming gambling betting company who also trades with cryptocurrency. So many things can go wrong. So one aspect that I feel that we don't really talk enough about is that how crypto can affect your current traditional banking rails. And it can, because the bank might understand how you work within your activity as an iGaming company, but it might be too risky for them that if you're adding crypto to the top. The other part of the crypto that again no one really talks about is the security aspect of it. And I understand there are methods when you can have your wallet, and then with alternative tools, you can basically change that wallet so no one can see what are your incoming and outgoing transactions, and no one can really hack you. How many people are actually using it? And whose responsibility in the account department to implement those tools which are safeguarding your funds? How successful is that, right? Because when I was working as a CFO in different projects, oftentimes the management came and they said, and back in the day that was the start of the crypto haze, so everybody wanted to have some crypto. That they told me, okay, Victoria, so basically we need a wallet. Some clients are going to pay with crypto, so you sort it out. Okay, but what is the taxation? What is the me as an accountant? How do I know anything about data security? How are my banks going to react to that when they see that there's a huge lump sum coming from a crypto exchange? How am I going to make sure that that currency is not too volatile, that the value disappears? As a finance professional, you need to deal with that from from a perspective that how viable is that project. And yes, it's good because on paper, as we said, it's easy, it's cheap, it's easy to implement, but you do need to understand what are the risks that it involves to accept the cryptocurrencies. And also nowadays we are living in a world when any kind of bad actor can have access to crypto and then send it everywhere. And there are certain countries which are more regulated, and I'm looking at Europe, obviously, MiCA is coming out, and now, of course, because USA is more friendly towards crypto, there's going to be some, you know, other regulations hopefully coming out, which is stabilizing the situation. But there are so many emerging markets when crypto is the only possibility as an alternative to fiat currency. So, for example, hyperinflation or sanctions, right? If your country is sanctions, was the first thing that people do. This is getting crypto and try to trade with that. So it's very, very easy to see that how crypto can easily turn into a liability, which can outweigh the benefit of the speed and the convenience. I'm not saying don't use crypto. I'm saying think about it, evaluate the risk, and make the informative decision of how you integrate crypto payments in your payment mix. It's not just that easy as the management says that tomorrow, guys, we are accepting crypto. CFO figure it out, and the CFO is trying to figure out on their own. So yeah, just think about it before you act.
Victoria, you were mentioning about some bad actors, and it reminds me about the payment fraud and chargebacks, which are some of the persistent problems for iGaming brands, and they're affecting profitability and their reputation as well. What strategies can iGaming brands implement to reduce payment fraud and minimize chargebacks? And I was wondering if there are any specific tools or technologies that can help with it.
There are a lot of tools out there. Again, you need to see that what is the most suitable for your specific needs. And the other thing that I think not that many people check, but it has a lot of information, is your payment data. How people pay you, when people pay you, from where people pay you, and what is the habit of certain persona that you have as players, because it can tell you so much information. And if you translate this to fraud, it can save you hundreds of thousands of euros and dollars, just to really understand that there are higher risk areas or higher risk times even when fraud are more likely to occur. Just to give you an example. For example, if there is a country whereby the majority of the fraud occurs between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning, then you might want to block those times, because that is going to be more beneficial than allowing the transaction through, and then deal with the increased possibility of the fraud. So there could be a lot of ways to tackle it, but of course you can also automate that too. The biggest challenge what I have seen with the automation is that it might filter out even the good things. So it could be hindering the growth, because when it looks like a fraud, it immediately gets frozen and it's not asking more questions. This is where I see that maybe AI tools can play a huge role, that challenge that transaction. Maybe it was a genuine transaction. Maybe, for example, a person who's got a card registered in their German address is having a holiday in Africa, for example. They went on a safari, and that's why they are using the German card in Africa. You don't know, right? And then the tool
Yeah.
is automatically filtering out. You might not want to block the good transactions coming through, but do you have the capability to put a customer service agent every fraudulent transaction just to double check it on the phone? Maybe yes, maybe no. But and that's what I said, that hopefully AI is going to help us to filter out what are the good transactions and what not. But the payment data has so much information. Start there, because it's already yours, it's already given, it's free, it's there. You just need to analyze it, and that can reveal a lot of information, which can be super helpful and super cost saving for you.
These are amazing advices, and if anybody would like to learn more on that, you can, as Victoria mentioned, you can go to PSP Angels and you can book your free slot for the consultation session. Victoria, thank you so much. This wraps up our conversation today. I really appreciate that you shared your expertise and insights with us today. We have covered a lot of ground, from the current state of payments in the iGaming industry to strategies for reducing, fraud and chargebacks, optimizing payment flows, and even exploring the role of cryptocurrencies as we discussed. I would like to turn over to our audience and see if we have any questions. Paulina asked a question. Let me read this one for you. Um, are there any crucial aspects where we need to pay more attention choosing payment platform? I think we covered it a little bit, but if you want, you can give us a couple of more sentence answer here.
Yes, everything. It depends on you, right? Because maybe you're more price sensitive, maybe you're a startup company, you're willing to take more risk in terms of getting better prices. It's your choice. You have the right to do so. Or maybe you are more technological savvy and you want to give better customer experience for your players, and then you're willing to pay a bit higher fees, for example, for that technology. I don't know. Maybe you are having preference simply because your team is familiar in a country, maybe with a language that you trust payment providers coming from that region. Maybe you don't. So it's a very multifaceted question, and the answer is case by case. Is the same thing. Which is the best bank in the world? Which is the best payment provider? Well, it depends, right? What's your activity? What's your volume? Where are you? What services that you need. So there is no one size fits all. That is why you need a consultant, because then that consultant, inside, outside, it doesn't obviously have to be us, but someone with their expertise. You need to have someone in your team to advise you honestly and unbiasedly, not a reseller, a proper independent consultant to help you to make sense out of this maze.
All right, so there's no magic pill. It is case by case,
I
and you
wish.
need to find a good expert on the topic that will tailor the whole strategy
Yeah.
for you when it comes to your brand. Amazing. Victoria, I think we already passed our duration that we planned a little bit, so I will not really cover the next questions. Are there any other topics that you would like to mention, or do you have any message to our audience for today?
My message is that I need to know what are you guys dealing with, because this is how we build a better industry together as we tackle the problems together as a team. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Let me know what's the issue. Give me the case study, because resolving things are a common effort, and this is how we grow, how you learn, how we also learn. And of course, check out the Soltesz Institute, where we have a lot of free content about the subject. It doesn't cost anything just to send your payment person to the website, figure out what is what, even contact us for more, deep level of courses, personalized courses. But you are not alone in this. I know it's scary. I know it's complicated. I know it's your money, so it's a super sensitive topic. But there is help out there. You just need to reach out, and we will find a solution.
Amazing. And I would like to add on that. So, if you'd like to learn more about the topics we covered today, you can get in touch with Victoria on LinkedIn. She's super active over there. Don't forget to check Victoria's book, Moving Money How Banks Think. It is available on Amazon. Moreover, you can visit pspangels.com for more information on the Schultes framework. Finally, if you want to make a difference for your iGaming brand in 2025 and make sure your payments are going through, and you want to test your payment methods, user flows, and you're going to keep your reputation, you want to increase your conversion and have further retention for your brand, you can get in touch with the Revpanda team and we'll get it covered for you. um, Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It was an amazing session. I learned a lot from you, Victoria. Thank you so much for all these insights. I would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, as well as all our audience today. And I will see you all at the next session of Repanda Live in 2025. So thank you.
Looking forward.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you
Cheers.
so much.